Hi there, welcome back to another interesting video and the latest news within the Noah Presgrove case and discussions. We're continuing on with what Brooke Bounds Carter has had to say, such as in response to Jan Friorillo's previous post, discussions from an alternative page in regards to the Netflix documentary, the sister of Stevie Howard known as Sarah Long speaking out, sharing her thoughts, and even supposedly Jack Newton's biological mother. Not to be mixed up with Rosa Newton, who is, what would they be considered as, a stepmother? Correct me if I'm wrong there, but we're just going to be looking at it all today. I'm going to show you some never seen before conversations, and I mean that as in for the majority of people watching this video, because of Facebook restricted pages, not everyone will have access to. This is kind of a viewer requested video, hence why I'm doing it today or tonight. And it's the best timing because it's fresh and it links on with what's previously gone down. If anyone is concerned or worried for the levels of chaos, don't be. It will eventually fade away because at the end of the day, it's a stamina war and not many quite compare or match up to one, which has more stamina. And just by switching and changing a subject or topic along the way, that can help too. But whilst we've got a flow, for better understanding and consistency, we stick with a particular theme to try and get that full perspective from the different key individuals tied up within the case or just the community as a whole. So welcome to those that are currently watching this live premiere. Share your thoughts and opinions in the live chat box located on the right hand side of the screen. And by the end of watching this video, drop a comment down below under the video. Let me know your additional thoughts, opinions, if they've changed or not, what you agree with, what you disagree with, and if you have any questions, I can always respond back to them later. Leaving comments do help with spreading awareness of these videos, and then more people will learn about it. As a heads up, down below, there'll be a pinned comment as well by me with additional links if you do want to support this channel. Shout out to those last night that did. I can't remember if it was Hardy Boys. I think it was Chandler and maybe the odd other person. It's obviously very good to see that. If you do want to catch up on recent coverage by me, such as the video last night and the continuation with the theme of what we're looking at right now, top right where the eye symbol is, click up there. You get the drop down box menu and the full playlist. So in terms of the order of how we're going to do things today, I'm going to start off first with the screenshots, read through them, break it down bit by bit, and then either I'll give my raw thoughts or maybe we can apply it to something else. We'll just go with the flow and see where we end up. This is a very random observation. For the first time in a very long time, I don't know why, but the hair on me, well, it should be on me because it is my hair. I don't know, the positioning, the angling, and maybe the colour is just perfect. And normally it's a bit all over the place, well, whatever. So let's begin with these conversations. As for the context, it could well be from the Sofa Sleuth page. So let's see. Here is the first actual post by Brooke Bounds Carter 1 hour ago at the time of when the screenshot was taken. Brooke says, in regards to this post made by Jan Friorillo, I went back and forth on whether I should even respond. I know it's the attention she truly wants. Also, since I'm blocked from her and the post also blocked in the DJ as well, whatever that means, I decided I would say a few little things on here. First, yes, I cropped the very long-winded post because she very distastefully victimized two very innocent people that lost their lives, that have not one thing to do with Noah or his death. I was in utter shock to see what she wrote about them for no reason. The poor families, my heart hurts for them. Brooke is referring to the Warwick boating accident of 2020 with that 7-year-old girl, and then that guy called Lucio, who's related to certain Newton or friends of Newton, family members, whatever. And Jan originally brought those named examples up in her post to do with Netflix, but how Jan worded it at the time, no direct names were mentioned. The ones that made it clear as to who and what it was really about with the victims' families or friends of friends. So then they made it public themselves and not doing themselves any favours, because strangers would see the post by Jen and probably think not too much about it. And the other thing is, you could say linking these events onto the Noah Presgrove case is distasteful, or it doesn't link whatsoever on the surface level, But talking about these cases, these events, as sensitive and upsetting as they may be, they were made publicly covered, documented online, official news articles were made. So it's not like Area 51 classified files, is it? And in terms of the links being made, what's the general links overall? The usage, direct or indirect, of alcohol. That's what the theme is. Not directly to do with underage drinking here or there, because it just doesn't link, but the theme of alcohol consumption being a problem or somehow being involved at times of tragedies. Responsible drinking. As said, it's roughly worded that. We've already talked about it previous. You want context, check my past videos out. Anyway, let's continue on. Brooke says, now, onto the post. We are constantly called out for not doing enough, not using our resources. We do not care about Noah, give enough money, buy enough shirts, hand out flyers, walk the streets for justice, constantly harassed for those things from them. Well, we used a resource and was able to get Noah's story out on the largest platform we could possibly find, Netflix. I thought they wanted Noah's case to be front and centre, so now that will be seen nationwide. This isn't a good thing? I'm extremely confused. This is about Noah. Why are they not supporting this? I guess they mean Noah Presgrove's family. Why aren't they supporting this? Why would they be offended by this? It sure seems lately all the news and spotlight has been dropped for him. We're using massive resources to keep him active. My heart hurts that this would be taken any other way than getting justice for Noah. This will be a great thing and will get Noah's name out nationally. Hopefully all rumours and lies can be put to rest and we can all put our attention back on the truth and justice for sweet Noah and his family. Hope everyone has a good day. Oh, so maybe it wasn't directed at the family, more so just directed at the likes of Jan and some others that were calling out the Netflix documentary and saying it's probably not a good idea for it to be made. And in defence, Brooks saying, but I thought you wanted attention. I thought you wanted awareness. I thought you wanted a case to stay alive. To say that Netflix is one of the biggest platforms or places out there for spreading awareness, maybe in a way, but I would argue and say YouTube is one of the biggest platforms out there, nationwide. Not just the US, but many countries out there, even including India, China, and much more. Of course, it does come down to the size of the creator as well. You have an established channel, which creates a video about a particular case, the awareness it can spread and what it can trigger is beyond another creator stepping in along the way like a chain reaction. It can work out. You've had missing person cases or recovery missions, and then it's led one thing to another, adventures with purpose, heavy D crossover, going out to lakes, recovering people, bodies, whatever. Did it time with the Kylie Rodney case? Maybe, maybe not. But the coverage was all mostly done on YouTube and it did work out to an extent. So Netflix can be just as hard-hitting, maybe a bit more, but I would still say YouTube is pretty powerful if you get the timing and the reach and the chain effect it can have. But I just wanted to go over one thing. Whereabout was it? It sure seems lately all the news and spotlight has been dropped for Noah. What does that exactly mean? Official news, official media, other platforms? Because if Brooke was just talking in general, that's a bit of overestimation or underestimating the situation, because there is me. at least on YouTube, single-handedly keeping this case alive since day one of when I arrived, whenever that was. And there might have been some days of silence, but that was out of my control when the pathetic technology or internet messed up. Nothing I could do there. But all the other times when I can, make a video, look into it, learn, pick up on stuff, question things along the way. And maybe now more questions than answers, but maybe loose ends can be tied up along the way. So to say that all news and coverage and the case is about to die, nothing's being done anymore, is a little bit impetuous, because I have been covering the case on YouTube single-handedly for quite some time now. I thought I'd acknowledge that. Now, is this from the same comment post, the comment thread? I personally don't know, but we'll read it anyway. Gabby Torres. I just have one question. Is Noah Presgrove's family okay with this and aware that you guys will be doing this, the Netflix documentary of some sort? Brooke responds, good question. I've reached out to a family member and they were thrilled it would get the exposure. No name given. Who could that Noah Presgrove family member be? Would it be Ashley Chadwick, Robin Smith? Would it be Casey Smith, Deborah Smith? Would it be Dalen Presgrove, Victor Presgrove, or anyone else in between? Was it Madison? Is it Madison or Ashley? Rawlings, maybe Madison. Interesting. Now, what we've seen just recently, Robin Smith looks like not seeing eye to eye with Brooke, and Brooke disappointed with Robin. Very, very recent. So I don't know if this is the conversation, a reference to a previous time with that family member or somebody else. Gabby says, great, I'm excited. Would the family be involved in it possibly to get both sides? It sounds like common sense, doesn't it? At the end of the day, the people that should be most vocal and putting themselves out there, if they want to, would be the family, the victim's family themselves, right? At the forefront, at the wheel. But I guess the only alternative reason as to why others would be more at the forefront is if it falls on a different site, property owned by other people. And that would fall on the Howard family, I guess. As for the Newton family, the Milan family, well, they don't live there. They don't own that site, the party house, if I'm correct in saying. Some of them are just witnesses, party goers. Kind of on the same line as the parents in a way. This is the thing. If you look back to the Dylan Rounds case, for most part of it, the communication, the post, the interviews, the documentary that was done there, it was all mainly around the family, personal, as it should be. External people, not so much. In this situation with Noah Presgrove, seems a little bit one-sided in a way. At the moment, at least, it could change. Brooke says to Gabby, I do not know what their decision is. I don't know how there is both sides. What do you mean by this? There is facts and truth only. Right. So Brooke is basically saying there is only one side to the story and the outcome with Noah, and it's the facts and truth. Anything else isn't. That's them. And as we've seen with time, the Noah Presgrove's family, even though Brooke said that the family are in line with what Brooke believes, that doesn't seem to be the case, does it, as we've seen since. Gabby, I'm sorry, I'm not sure how the documentary would be. In the post, it says from Avery, Carter and Logan's perspective. If it's in that way, I'm imagining, I think it would be great to have someone who's known Noah his whole life to talk about him when it comes to the image of Noah. Y'all's facts might not be the family's. Y'all or y'all. Hey, y'all. So I just got to tune my voice because obviously just recently the odd person got triggered because I didn't pronounce it correctly. Oh no, what a catastrophe. Never mind, life moves on. I think it's common sense though to have family or a family member to speak on behalf of Noah for that experience. being around him, what he's like, whether that be the documentary part with the storytelling, the backstory of Noah, the introduction of the documentary, it just makes sense. You're not just going to get some fishmonger from off the street to come on in and talk about Noah. How are they going to know who he is and what he's like? You need a person, long-time friend, long-time family member, things like that. Of course, those that were at the party are important for a documentary like this if they want to, if they feel comfortable being interviewed and involved, because they've got more experience, as in the moment where it mattered, a person of interest, a possible witness, and whatnot. But if given a chance, what would they say in the documentary? Would it be consistent with what they've stated in the past, what they've said in private, or is it going to be limited? Could it be a complete turnaround once again? That's another possibility, and we'll get to that later if I can. Sarah Long, sister to Stevie Howard, says, it wasn't her idea. Is that to do with Jan? She is controlling, narcissistic and self-serving, yet she feels it's necessary to shame and blame others for Noah's death. But at the end of the day, a bunch of teenagers and young adults are not responsible for another person's actions which resulted in his own death. I don't know why, does that sound like suicide, how it's worded? Blaming these kids for Noah's death is like blaming McDonald's for someone's weight gain. No one forced Noah to party or drink. Those were his own personal choices. He showed up to the party already drinking with his own alcohol. Ellie is already aware of this, but conventionally, Jan leaves that part out. Well, why can't other people bloody include it in then? It's okay talking about the criticisms, what's lacking, what's not present, but why not do better yourself or add it in for additional context? Just like how I do in my videos along the way, try and build it up with time, build up the different perspectives. It doesn't seem to be consistent elsewhere then. He was a normal kid that liked to party. The concept of partying wasn't new to him. It's an unfortunate tragedy, but if you factor in a poorly lit highway in the early morning hours and delayed reflexes responses, it makes for a dangerous combination which ultimately led to his death. My prayers are always with his family and friends. Now, after reading that, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if some people in the community could be very pissed off by this statement. This isn't coming from me. Let me make that clear. But I sense that there could be others out there that see this response by Sarah Long and say it's a very cold response, almost like on the level of a psychopath. Who knows? We get all the labels with time, don't we? But is there anything I need to break down? Yeah. So, blaming these kids for Noah's death is like blaming McDonald's for someone's weight gain. I mean, a person's weight gain is an individual that has made their own choice to consume unhealthy food. And as a result, there's been consequences experienced directly by them. Their own actions have led to consequences which have come back to them only. Then they themselves play a victim and decide to blame someone else for their own consequences, even though they caused it in the first place. I don't think that's a good example for blaming the kids for Noah's death. If it was Noah himself blaming others for his death when he was one that was supposedly drunk and walking around aimlessly and then got hit, then you could link it to the McDonald's example. So I think it's a bit of a weak, structured example, this, if I'll be honest with you. For Sarah to say, no one forced Noah to party or drink, it was his personal choice. He showed up to the party already drinking, already aware of this, but okay, he was a normal kid. Right. I don't know word this, but at the end of the day, a bunch of teenage young adults are not responsible for another person's actions, which resulted in Noah's own death. Noah was asking for it. Noah made the choice to drink, to party, which eventually led to the actions of his own death. No one else is responsible. It's Noah's actions. What Noah asked to die, Noah asked to be brutally killed. He was asking for it. He deserved it. That's what it sounds like here when you read over it. Very dodgy and questionable to an extent. Did Noah have a death wish? Was that on his mind? Because that's how you could interpret it here. This is the thing. It's okay, a certain set of individuals saying it's a hit and run. But I don't really see much in between about how Noah ended up at the highway. I know I've done my videos and map analysis saying maybe he walked off that way and then went down the highway. And a range of people said, not possible, impractical, wouldn't make sense. But what I want to know is Sarah Long, Brooke Bounds Carter, and anyone else that truly believes it's a hit and run and it occurred on the highway, what the hell was Noah doing along the highway in the first place? In your opinion, those that believe it that way, do you think that at 3:30 when Noah walked away heading east towards the highway, he then went onto the highway heading north a mile on and then got hit? Walking about tipsy and drunk, not looking where he's going, got clipped or directly hit by a vehicle? That's what you think happened? But the next question, it's important. Those that believe it's a hit and run and it occurred on the highway, why do you think Noah walked away and decided to walk 1 mile north along the highway? That's the next question. See, I know a range of people could say it's just not a hit and run, and those people that are pushing it, there's an agenda. But why not just be a little bit patient, calm, simmer down a little, and try and work out additionally what other reasons behind people truly thinking it's that cause of death. Besides the injuries, besides the cause of death, trying to get that understanding from their point of view as to why Noah would have been on the highway. Why did he even consider walking that way? Oh, it's Noah's choice. Oh, it's Noah's fault. It's his decision. No one else is to blame. But what if, on the sideline, some of these people do say, well, Noah probably did go north to the highway because he did want to go home, so that's probably what he was doing. He was drunk, he wasn't quite thinking, he was a bit reckless and silly, but that falls on him. That's his fault, no one else to blame. But you know what? Rest in peace to him. Oh well, let's move forward and get justice. Why? But, you know, if that was the case, if it's because Noah wanted to go back home, well, there's always one additional factor, isn't there? Didn't Noah want to be driven back home because he didn't have his own vehicle with him? He was dependent, relying on somebody else, and everyone turned him down. If Noah was driven back by someone else to his house, Noah would still be alive till this day. The only other factor would be if Noah had his own vehicle, then he could drive back himself. Do you honestly think that would happen? If he rolled over in the side-by-side because of being drunk and drunk driving, just imagine what would have happened if he was in his own vehicle along the highway. We'll do a separate video about that. So the only chance that Noah had in order to survive that night, that morning, is to be driven back home. That's it. Wow. Let's move on. Brooke says, praying we can get the truth and closure for all. Noah needs this. Does Noah really need this? Because Sarah Long kind of implies that, you know, what happened has happened. No one's really to blame but Noah. Let's move on. I want to zoom in so we get a closer look at things. Sarah Smith, I believe, appeared once on the case discussion page. Supposedly, Sarah Smith is the biological mother to Jack Newton. Correct me if I'm wrong down below in the comments. I'm basing it off previous conversations and those that have interacted with Sarah previous. She says, this comment just feels wrong to me. It's not that I disagree necessarily with what you're saying, but it feels wrong to blame Noah for this. Did you know him outside of this whole thing? Had it been one of your nieces that passed, how would it feel to you to see people making comments like this? I know no one forced him to drink. Still doesn't sit well with me, though, for people to be commenting this type of thing. It's just unnecessary. Ah, wow. This is very, very interesting, isn't it? Of all people, Sarah Smith, not quite seeing eye to eye with Sarah Long. Sarah, more so on the same wavelength as me. This is interesting to see, especially when you get alternative pages out there where people could just assume that it's a covenant of people that all collect together under one umbrella conscience of what happened, what's the deal. There are disagreements here. That can be healthy as well. There's more balance there. It's just a nice change. So supposedly Jack Newton's mother defending Noah, having a go at Sarah to an extent. Yeah. For Sarah to be quite cold with what she says, would she be wording it the same way if it was one of her family members? Or as Sarah says, one of your nieces? Exactly. Likely, it would probably be a different outcome. Sarah says to Brooke, absolutely he does. And then Sarah says to Sarah, oh shit, Sarah to Sarah. My goodness, a lot of names. My comment is in response to Jan's post, blaming Jack Newton, Avery Combs, Carter Combs and Logan for Noah's death. I do not agree with Jan. I do not feel it's right to blame or shame these kids when they carry enough guilt. I'm sorry if my post, it don't really mention much more. But to be honest, Sarah Long does not directly answer the question or response. Anyway, I'm just basing it off what Jan has said. But by the way, I'm still adding it in that it's Noah's responsibility and it's his choice for his death. That's still how it's worded. Anyway, Sarah Smith does respond. I totally get how Jan and all the others can really be unnerving. And thank you for speaking up for my son, Jack. I still stand by what I said about comments like these just not being okay. I know Jack didn't have anything to do with Noah's death. Noah was like a son to me, though. And again, I'm not saying I disagree with you, Sarah Long, about his decisions. I just don't see how any of that helps this case at all. The last couple of weeks, there's been really good discussions about science stuff pertaining to this. How fast does blood dry? And even math about speeds, etc. Those are really great and could maybe even help bring answers. All this other stuff should just be dropped by everyone. Jack has had his whole world turn upside down by losing Noah. The internet slander had brought his grief to even deeper levels. There seems to be sides that people are on, and that's just super weird to me. I get it, I really do. I just wish it would stop, not only for Jack's sake, but for Noah's too. A little bit more balanced, makes a change. Sarah says to some other person, Jamie Wood, Mancy Wood, interesting name. Yes, ZW, also known as Zachary Wright, to do with the police, told my nieces in a recorded interview with an attorney present they know Noah died on that highway, but are investigating whether he was struck by a vehicle or fell out of the back of a truck, possibly. Now, if Noah had fallen out the back of a truck, would the driver or passengers have been aware of what's happened but continue to drive on? Or what? Jamie responds to Sarah. Did Zachary Wright say that to them initially last year in their interviews, or is this a remark made in recent months? Sarah responds, I will not disclose the date, but one could deduce from OHP's most recent statement in May stating that they're not investigating it as a murder, then they're investigating it as an accident of some kind. So I would say more recent than early on. Now, just as a little question, let's just say it turned out to be an accident. Those that believe it's an accident, do those people think that there should still be justice and someone should still be charged, whether that be like manslaughter or something else? And how would those people think if it turned out to be someone that they knew or close to that caused that, but it was an accident? Would there be the same levels of wanting justice or more so, you know what, I'm going to be a bit more lenient because it's someone that I know and care about. It is what it is. It'd be interesting to see the attitudes with time. Mandy, victim blaming is what you're doing. Jamie to Sarah. So Zach Wright told you he knows. Zach Wright said he knows Noah died on the highway. I'm just updating all the info I have. Sarah, it's not my intention, unfortunately. Accidents happen. People just look to place blame on someone, and I understand that it helps with the grief and guilt to blame others for one's own actions, but accusing innocent people is not acceptable either. It's a bit hypocritical and rich coming from Sarah Long, who is literally blaming Noah for Noah's own outcome. He was asking for it. Once again, if Noah had made a decision to drink himself and get drunk, that's his own doing. To then be wandering off is his own actions. But the fact that no one went after him or told him to come back, and people just casual thinking, oh, whatever. And partially maybe walking off one last time because he wanted to go home and no one would give him a lift. We just completely forget about that factor. So, yes, Zachary Wright told my nieces, okay. That's just repeated. A bit weird, the order. Agreed. I know my nieces had nothing to do with Noah's death as well as Jack Newton. I'm protective of them. I believe Noah is safe in heaven, but my nieces are not safe here on earth when Jan makes these type of posts. Placing blame, it makes their chances at being harmed even more grave. My concern is for my nieces who receive death threats daily from online trolls. Are death threats necessary? No, it's reckless because let's just say there are bad people out there, those in the case responsible. You give them death threats, you throw resistance out, you're going to push them, scare them away so they go underground, making it harder to track and trace everyone, making the case a lot harder in general, making it harder on yourself. Just like with the Jay Slater case, those that are suspicious of the family or the friends of Jay, by showing that resistance, pushing them away, you're not going to be able to track them as easy. Doesn't help in the long run. Jamie, I took about 2-month break off of all these pages about Noah. I just hopped back on a few days ago. I'm attempting to catch myself back up. So there is concrete proof he's responsible for his own death by his own actions. Wow. So on the poorly lit highway and Noah's delayed reflexes responses, what happened in that moment? I'm not reading the actual event that happened. If you'd catch me up on that part, I'd appreciate it because I have not seen this anywhere as of yet until just now. Sarah responds, my comment is in response, ultimately led to his own death. I never said a negative word about Noah's character. Again, he was a normal... Actually, wait, is this repeated or something? I do not agree with Jan. I do not feel it's right to blame and shame these kids to carry enough guilt. I'm sorry if my post offended you, but I will not change my stance. Noah's own actions ultimately led to his own death, and that's the truth. It's not disrespectful to speak the truth. It's not pretty, but it's the truth. I never said a negative word about Noah's character again. He was a normal kid who evidently enjoyed partying. Right, so if it's Noah's own choice actions, he's to blame for his own death, for recklessly walking down a highway drunk. But why would he do that? Maybe because he was desperate to get back home. And it just so happens everybody Noah reached out to at the party in regards to wanting a lift, people turned him down. He had no other option, no other choice. Let's word it that way. If you're going to be blaming Noah and only Noah for his own choices and actions, the blame can still apply to other partygoers, if not all those that denied Noah being able to be taken back home. You want to be strict, we can be strict. We want to get dark, we can get dark, no problem there. Sarah, I totally get how Jan and all the others can... Thank you for speaking for my son. Oh, right, sorry, it must have been out of order, out of sync, that extended comment from earlier we didn't get to see. Yeah, it's just been posted the wrong way. Bit annoying. Cheryl, so there's a Netflix documentary in the works. I'm not in the back channel group, so I guess I missed something. The idea that there are sides in this continues to baffle me. There's a big swath of community societal support for Noah that just doesn't believe we falsely accuse people of murder. There is a big swath of support for Noah who finds using other tragedies to support your narrative, in this case morally bankrupt. Brooke responds, there are a lot of things in the works. We want Noah to have justice and we're doing everything we can to help with that. I don't know why there has to be sides, because we know the kids are innocent. Apparently that means we don't want justice for Noah. I don't know, they have something to say about anything we do. Damned if we do, damned if we don't. So we know for a fact Noah chose to drink alcohol, which would slow down his reflexes and responses. We also know for a fact from eyewitness accounts he chose to walk off to a poorly lit highway. Those are facts that Ellie agrees on. Unfortunately, his decisions put himself in harm's way. Ellie knows for a fact a vehicle was involved. Ellie knows for a fact his death occurred on the highway. Ellie is not investigating his death as murder. So if it's not murder, then it leads one to believe an accident occurred. The details surrounding the accident are under investigation, whether he was struck by a vehicle or fell out of a moving one. Sometimes accidents occur and no one is really to blame, but Jan's outlandish post placing blame on Noah's friends is absurd and reckless. I honestly don't think this will ever be solved, but I'm hopeful. Really? Siobhan. May have heard that name once before. I don't understand how a Netflix documentary would be a bad thing either. Netflix would do all the necessary digging and probably get to the facts, not the lies or opinions, just the cold hard facts. And Brooke says, exactly. They scream, we don't do enough. I think this would be huge for them. They aren't going to leave a stone unturned. I think the ones not happy with it possibly have the most to hide. I mean, why would they not be thrilled unless possible lies and rumours was started by you or you don't want to be known? That's really the only thing I can think of. To see where rumours are started and who started them, I think that's a great thing. They constantly say you have to accept your actions. And that appears to be it there. My, I guess when it comes to the titling of this video, it's going to require a lot more focus to get the best out of summarising everything what we've seen today, but we're not even finished yet because I need to add on my thoughts right now. Where do we begin? Well, I think as for certain references to Noah and supposedly taking responsibility, we need to apply that to a map analysis, which we'll get to shortly. Don't go anywhere. But in terms of a documentary in the works, possibly to spread that awareness to get some kind of justice, even though whilst Brooke is doing some of that pushing in hopes of it helping the case, she also believes that it may not be solved. Well, that's not exactly a good outlook. It won't be solved. Why does Brooke feel it won't be solved? Because the one responsible, even if it's an accident, is just completely out of this world, somewhere else, never going to be found, traced or tracked, and that's it, game over. Is there a possible chance that, you know, on the sideline, those that believe it's a hit and run and someone responsible out there hiding wherever they may be could crack, break under pressure if a documentary is released publicly and they see it themselves or someone else does and news gets about, a person confesses finally, who knows? But just in terms of the act of doing a documentary, some kind of series to spread awareness, I guess it does come down to how the story is told and who tells it, because if it's only one side, how could there be multiple sides, as maybe Brooke or someone else could question? There's only one side, one story, one outcome, facts, straight to the point, nothing else. Anything else is lies or not true. And it's interesting for Brooke to word it like that, or the odd other person like Sarah Long, because those that are doing talking quite a lot, these fully grown adults of a much older age, not that old, but, you know, of an older age compared to the party goers, these who are most vocal weren't even at the party. Says a lot, doesn't it? They might know the situation or the supposed facts because they've been told it by others, but it's not directly from the horse's mouth. Who would you believe more, just in a general setting? Someone who's present at the time of when things unfold, they see it in person, etched on their mind, their eyes, their ears, and they retell the story afterwards? Or would you rather hear it from someone that was on holiday out of the country at the time when it all went on and then was told the information afterwards, which could be selective, which could be adjusted, and they believe it as the facts? And then what, they're treated as a mouthpiece and then just go on and on about it. Makes you think, realistically, at the end of the day, if anyone is to try and get involved with a documentary, providing that they want to and they're comfortable to do so, someone like Caden Pressey, Jack Newton, basically the party goers that were there Sunday night going into Monday morning, all the party goers present, individual interviews, no bias effect, no researcher effect, open-ended, and go from there. As for everybody else and all the other background noise, be drowned out, just focused in on those that were present to retell the stories. But how would you get that consistency? 30 to 40 people or just 10 to 15? How many people in total present at the party house from Sunday night to Monday morning post news of Noah's death? Who was there exactly? And how many of them should be interviewed? I would argue and say all of them should be in terms of this so-called documentary. As for anyone else, those who weren't even there, but maybe connected to the partygoers as friends or family, they shouldn't play the centre point of it all because they weren't there. The exception would be Noah Presgrove's family because as they weren't there, they know what Noah is like. And it's just normal. I don't know how else to word it. It's just normal that if there's a documentary done about the death of someone, a true crime case, a missing person mystery, that the victim's family are at the forefront talking, narrating about the past, present, and possible future. So it with the Dylan Rounds case made complete sense. And the parents didn't even live anywhere near as to what happened to Dylan Rounds. Dylan was like by himself further out, but still the parents were at the forefront in the interviews and talking. Did they have the right to do all the talking then if they weren't even there or present? I know you could say, well, I guess the exception being family. They've got a backstory to tell that story of Dylan, the past, how things came about, why he ended up in Lucerne and more. And then the rest of the information is directly from what police, LE, FBI have told the Rounds, the Cooley family, and then they relayed it in the interview as much as they could, I guess. The same could happen in the Noah Presgrove case. I'm going to tell you how it could go, the structuring of it. So if anyone's interested or try and figure out how the hell could it even come about, this documentary, how would it be worded? So like an intro, a drone shot, going over the of Oklahoma, stock footage, whatever you want to call it, the fields, maybe a bit of footage from the party, on and off flickers here and there. You got some narration in the background with some sad music playing, a few cut shots to photos of Noah, and then relaying back to a studio of certain family members in the little deck chairs talking about who Noah was, what he was like, and all that. Kind of like the little introduction of what we got from Justin Roy, Caden Pressey when it came to Partners in True Crime, what Noah was like, a prankster, very funny, popular, liked, flirted, whatever, and all that. Then it cuts to then telling the story as in what day Noah attended and what happened. A little snippet maybe used from the Partners in True Crime footage of Caden Pressey re-quoting certain aspects of, oh yeah, Saturday came on down, Noah did too. Sunday, went out to get breakfast together, Warwicker, and so on. You can understand how it could go. And then on and on and on, side by side, but there might be some time stamps which could still be missing. There could be still some grey areas in between the shower and beyond, and then walking away, and then that unknown, what happened? Then you could get the series or the part 2 documentary if it's done in sections, where it then goes into the autopsy, the cause of death, and the complications around that, whether it includes the ME delaying things by going to Lawton hours later, and then eventually, 10 p.m. or 4 p.m. or something into the afternoon or so. That's when things were moved on, but Noah's body left out on the highway for so long, so liver mortis kicking on in, aspects of the body or damage to the skin, blood, whatever, impacted, changed, not as fresh, not as relevant, missed opportunities. And then the third part to the series or installment of the documentary could be then going into the conspiracies, the social media aspect, the damage that is done, and then it shows the victim side and then the ones who've been blamed or falsely accused and back and forth. But that could be a little bit one-sided, you never know, because it's okay saying that you've got the Combs, the Howards, the Newtons, the Millans, being attacked, harassed, death threats. Let's not fucking forget Warlight Raff, a simple individual that is in a bedroom far away. I'm not causing too much trouble, and yet I'm getting attacked quite a lot in different ways. Long-term attempts to damage me and the channel. So in terms of severity, there are other people in the case worse off. But in terms of consistency, I am one of the most attacked individuals. And who is doing the attacking? The same people attacking me, are they also attacking the Millans, the Brooke Bounds Carters, the Jack Newtons, the Carter Combs, the Averys, the Logans, and all them? Where does it come from exactly? Because I know at some... Let's not forget the time when, what was it, 20 to 25 of my videos on YouTube were falsely reported for privacy violations. And when it came to YouTube, they did an internal check and said, I've did nothing wrong. There were false reports. Who was doing that and why? They stopped. Maybe because they realised it wouldn't work. But still, a little bit odd how that happened. Whoever was reporting my videos clearly didn't want the case to be solved and wanted it to die. Just like others since, prats and idiots, creators or not, attempts made to discredit, tarnish me and my coverage on the case. Why do you want to do that when I am the one that single-handedly keeps this case alive? As soon as I stop, what do you think is going to happen on YouTube? Exactly. Oh, there's these big channels that come in hard hitting. Yeah, one time only, then they piss off. Move on to the next hottest, latest trend. You know, we don't need to get into it much there about that stuff because I've mentioned it before, but some of the responses by people, absolutely pathetic. Let's just mention it very brief. We, not just me, but we have seen some of the most pathetic excuses of comments when it comes to some people complaining, whinging and whining. It's absolutely embarrassing and pathetic, the mindset some people have. You know, even a marrow fat bean or a green pea or a single piece of sweet corn has more common sense than these cretins do. That says a lot, doesn't it? Even the green giant who doesn't really exist is probably more credible. You're not even here? What the hell's going on? Ho, ho, ho. No, it's Santa, isn't it? Well, green giant does that as well. Whatever. Randomly, I think last night it was about 38 to 40% said that they're on Santa's naughty list. Ooh. Whatever. Now, let's just focus back in with Noah Presgrove. So, what we need to refer to now is kind of like linking on with Sarah Long's attitude and Noah bringing it upon himself, his own death. Let me show you what I mean on the maps. So, here we are. From the looks of what Sarah was getting at, Noah Presgrove, who attended the party on Saturday, I'm guessing that's the beginning, already had alcohol with him. So is that saying that the only way Noah Presgrove got drunk was his own alcohol that he brought with him, which lasted from Saturday to Monday? But was there any chances in between that alcohol that was already at the party, provided by the host, bought by the host, Noah used himself, possibly, but still his own choice? Heard recently what Brooke Bounds Carter had to say about the cousin of Caden Pressey. From what Brooke says, even though Brooke wasn't there, she's saying that the two 15-year-olds or so, girls that turned up at the party were already drunk, and Avery said to them not to leave because you're drunk and it would be dangerous. So these 15-year-olds, how did they get down to the party in the first place? Were they driving themselves? Drunk driving? Seems reckless already. You could say it's a bit of a free-for-all. It depends how it's worded and how you look at it at the end of the day. If, and I'm not saying it was, but if it was true what Brooke says on behalf of Avery encountering the 15-year-olds at the time, uninvited, but still happened, arrived, told to remain because they're drunk, is responsible and caring because you don't want to send them off immediately if they're drunk, because they could end up crashing. They were lucky enough to get down to the place without it. Don't want to be sending them off again because it could go wrong. But what about at the time of when they did leave later? Sunday going into Monday, when they did leave, they were on the highway, that Life 360 app, and then Melissa, the mother to Caden's cousin, and Caden's mother, Alicia Lee, showed up on the highway, pulled him over and took the cousin home. At that point, when that was all happening on the highway, who was driving who, and what was the age range then behind the wheel? But, you know, the thing is, people could bring alcohol with them. That's their own choice, and then to consume it, whether the party host is aware of it or not. But is there any point where the alcohol ran dry, and then they decided to make use of the alcohol that was presented at the party itself? And how much truly was consumed? How many bottles owned by whoever was present at the party, cans and whatnot, over the 3-4 day party, right? We call it a 4-day party, but we never hear about Friday, so it's really a 3-day party, isn't it? But whilst we're talking about Caden's cousin, and I know Alicia Lee won't be too pleased to hear what's been talked about and with what Brooke has said, I'm just simply relaying what's been talked about in recent time, so it's not just simply one-sided. But we need to really be focusing on Noah Presgrove. So, in the mindset of Sarah Long, the death of Noah Presgrove basically is by his own doing and nobody else. But for Noah to die, to possibly make contact with a vehicle and then the driver, whoever that is, being kind of responsible but not caring enough to stop or call into police, there's a bit of responsibility there. You can incriminate yourself by just driving away, as in a hit and run, and you can be charged for that. So it doesn't just fall on Noah to blame for his death, but externally others. But is there anyone from the party that could be blamed or questioned to an extent? Sarah Long doesn't believe that, but you want to be technical, you could. What I want to put across is Noah reached out to Caden Pressey between Sunday night, Monday morning. Caden said no to Noah when asked, could you drive me home? Noah supposedly asked many other people and they all said no. And yet Carter Combs was supposedly a designated driver who was able to drive people home but didn't give Noah a lift back. Do you have a full context and reasoning there? Unfortunately, we don't, but me going over this and questioning it over and over again may eventually trigger some answers, and that's what's obviously needed, of course. In the meantime, we just make reference about it. So, this kind of links back to that general discussion as in what I was getting at. Why did Noah want to go home? Did he want to? Did he need to? If you need to, sounds more desperate. You'll go to greater lengths to achieve a certain target or goal and reach those aims, even if it's a little bit dangerous or questionable. If you simply want to do something and it doesn't work out, there might not be as much drive, not as much desperation, but you might think it out more smartly. Take in mind that Noah Presgrove was driven down to the party Sunday afternoon, evening time by a driver, a male called Gage Jessen, something like that, who also dropped Mikey Lair off as well. Where was Gage when Noah needed him then? Why is it that when Noah Presgrove may have reached out to different people, whether he reached out to Jack or not, and said, could I have a lift back? And they all said no. Why couldn't one of the partygoers say, right, I'll call Gage again and see if he can pick Noah up, if he was the same one to drop Noah off? Was there any attempts made then? There were some references in the community that Noah Presgrove may have reached out to his father, Victor, but Victor was drunk, drinking at the time, doing his own thing. We've got to take into consideration it's an awkward day as well, all round, because whilst there's a party occurring here, there's supposedly a party occurring everywhere else or wherever there's communities, because it is Labour Day, people are celebrating, hanging out, having fun and whatnot. And at a time of early hours of Monday morning, whether other people are asleep or still partying, whatnot, it might not be the most ideal practical time to be picking someone up. But if you've got the right people around you, or those who are not too far away, they might be able to pick that call up if necessary. It is one of those things where people can be caught up, busy, phone turned off, unable to return the call at the time and then regret it afterwards. You can't blame them. But for the people that are physically around you, and if there was anyone capable of giving Noah a lift back, it could have been done. But what if no one, absolutely no one at the party could physically or was capable of giving Noah a lift back home because they were all pissed out of their head, including Noah? Well, then Noah decides, right, I'll take it upon myself to walk back home. Is there a possibility that the side-by-side rollover was an act of Noah gaining access to a vehicle, Jack's, because he didn't have his own, trying to drive down to the highway, but even before reaching that, rolling over round the back of the yard? And then Noah having to be escorted into the house to be washed down, Noah being a bit energetic or protesting a little in his own mischievous ways because he's not getting what he wants. Did Noah Presgrove teabag the same people that turned him down earlier when he requested a ride back home and he thought, right, in your face, these nuts? I don't know. Depends what mood he was in. Prankster mode, petty mode, slightly frustrated mode, giddy, hyped up, and then cooling off afterwards. Then coming to that conclusion, right, I can't go home. No one will give me a lift. What do I have left? Well, there is a bed. There is a girl. I'll settle for that. Could that have been going through his mind? He didn't get what he wanted there. Right, I'll go to the other bedroom. Didn't get what I want there. What more can I do? What else can I do? And I know Justin Roy said, why would Noah get so worked up over the bedroom situation if Noah was perfectly okay sleeping on the floor Saturday night with Logan Jernigan? But my question is, why the hell is Logan Jernigan sleeping on the floor next to Noah when Logan's got her own bed? What is that all about? But besides that, it's not just the bedroom debacle, which could be the main reason for Noah walking away. It's the final tip of the iceberg, cherry on the top, all the previous BS, rejections, not being able to go home, not even being able to sleep in his own bed, now not being able to sleep in a bed right here. But does Noah have the right to demand this and that at the party when there's other party guests and people who may have to sleep on the floor or in uncomfortable positions? Why should Noah get the special treatment? Yes, I do understand that. But did anyone else want to go home? Besides Noah at a point asking to be driven back home, did anyone else ask to be taken home, and did it occur or not? I wonder. I mean, Caden Pressey's cousin and the cousin's friend, Georgia and whoever, left the party. How exactly? Who was driving? Going down the highway. And that was before what happened to Noah. So even before Noah died, some people were able to leave the party successfully in a vehicle. And yet Noah still didn't get a chance to be driven back home. But then again, it depends where people live and what direction they're going in. It might not be in the same route or direction as others. Got to take that in mind as well. There's no point, if you live south of the party house and Noah lives north, you're not going to drive 42.4 miles north to drop Noah off and then go all the way back and more to get to your place. You're going in completely different directions. I get that. But it's just very interesting. So when Noah when Noah was supposedly rejected multiple times when being given a lift, did he feel like there was no more offers? So he's like, screw it, I'll do it myself. And because he's drunk, he's not quite thinking clearly. Did Noah honestly think that he could walk or run 42 point whatever miles north? The only thing that I could say, and I don't know if anyone would agree, because people say walking down the highway is not possible. He wouldn't do that. If Noah is desperate, he could do it. If Noah Presgrove really needed to get back home, then he might. If Noah Presgrove felt threatened or in danger at the party house, that would be another reason as to why he would rather risk going down a highway than actually staying at the party house where he could be around dangerous people. That's an alternative scenario. That's all I'm saying. The only other thing is the fitness level with Noah. We've seen those photos or videos. What, Noah Presgrove is a long distance runner or something to do with that? Running, athletics, fitness, distance, stamina. Maybe Noah felt that with that experience, he could apply it here. Whether that be to challenge himself or just to at least try and get back home because he's got no other choice. I'll walk the whole distance, or I'll walk so far. And because I do long distance running, that's what can translate in me walking a long stretch with my stamina. Because Noah wasn't out of shape or overweight, was he? So he could have been able to walk so much distance. I don't know if that's one of the reasoning abilities if he was to walk down the highway. Oh, because I can do this and that, then it can apply to her, even if it isn't the best environment, setting, and poor lack of lighting, but still. And likely if Noah was to be walking down the highway, he would be on the left-hand side with the traffic approaching him. That's how you normally do things when walking on the side of a road or nearby. But that sounds all like it's down to Noah's choice, Noah's decision, Noah's fault. He got what's coming to him with the reckless decisions he made. But if you used to interpret it like that and that was the case, reckless decisions, maybe because Noah had no choice, because he didn't have any other opportunities to get back, so he had to take it upon himself to get back home. But how desperate would you need to be in order to do that? That's why people question walking down the highway. But if it is true that witnesses, who are them? Who are the witnesses at the party house that saw Noah walk towards the highway and thought nothing of it and did nothing about it? What I'd like to know is, the night before, as mentioned by Sarah Long, who wasn't even there, who referenced and made a point to Jasmine Millan on Facebook that, oh yeah, and the night before Noah wandered off and you went looking for him, or some of you guys did, found him, brought him back to the house. Where did Noah wander off to there? What direction did he go in? Was it different to what he did on Monday? Because if it's different, then maybe there'd be more concern. Why is he heading east? Why is he heading towards the railroad tracks as a drunk person in the dark? That's one problem. You see what I mean? Oh, the focus is on the highway, hit and run. What about the railroad tracks before that? I'm not saying that's what caused it, but you got two hazards present. The first hazard and obstacle is the train tracks. You trip over them, you could bang your head. You time it incorrectly with a train passing by, you could get hit. If you succeed, then you're on the highway. No lighting, oncoming vehicles approaching. That's not good either. Not exactly in a good position, right? So with the hazardous environment ahead, with the exception of this house being present nearby, that's the only saving point, because the witnesses, in no particular order, Avery Combs was the person last to see Noah walk away, as mentioned by Jasmine Millan supposedly in the past. Jack Newton, one individual last to see Noah walk off east towards the highway. And then Jack later saying on the last Partners in True Crime interview, it was actually Logan Jernigan that saw Noah walk east. So it's either Avery, Jack, or Logan, or all of them that saw Noah walk off into the dark, heading east towards two hazardous zones and areas, and no one thought, maybe we should follow him just to be safe. We don't want him wandering off again like we did the night before, where we had to try and look for him because we had a level of concern. You know what I'm saying? Oh, it's just like any other time Noah wanders off. If it's like any other time when Noah wanders off, is it normal as well for the response to be, let's go and search for him because we can't find him? Because that seems to be a little bit more abnormal, doesn't it? That's a factor that needs to be measured. If it's normal for Noah to walk off, wander about and disappear for a certain amount of time, is it normally normal for the likes of Jasmine Millan or another party goer to make a Snapchat post saying, well, guess he's missing, with a smile? Does that normally happen as well? It's okay talking about the routine of Noah, where he goes and when he walks away, and normally when he's drunk. Oh, so what you're saying is, if you're basing it off Sarah Long's mentality, there's been countless times in the past where Noah has wandered off drunk, maybe at night, maybe early as hours of the morning. All those past occasions when Noah wandered off by himself drunk, what happened to Noah September 4th, 2023 could have happened months, a year or longer before. Is that what's been suggested? Oh, it's normal for Noah to wander off and disappear for a certain length of time when he's drunk. But when it came to September 4th, we just weren't anticipating what was going to happen next. Sometimes the more times you do something or put yourself out there or get involved somehow with whatever in life, the higher the chance of that something could go wrong. It's like if you constantly eat bananas, the more times you eat bananas, the higher the chances that in one of the bananas there could be a foreign object. There could be a spider within the banana bunch. You know, the more times you engage with it. The more times you recklessly walk off into the dark, drunk, the more times you do it, the higher the chances that at some point it's going to catch up with you and go wrong. That's kind of like what supposedly happened with Noah. How does that mean that it all falls on him and it's his fault? He makes the choice to walk away. Maybe makes the choice to drink alcohol too. They don't pair well together when combined. But if the party goers are very familiar with Noah's routine and they just let it happen, if Noah was vulnerable, or could be, and people just let him walk off, oh well, never mind, not our responsibility. Oh, but we also care about Noah, but, you know, not our responsibility. It depends how you look at it, but, you know, if it's so normal for Noah to wander off, what happened to Noah on September 4th could well have happened to him months beforehand or years beforehand. If you're basing it off a highway hit and run situation, if it has happened in the past where Noah has walked east towards the highway, if at the same place, I mean, my question would be, how many times has Noah Presgrove beforehand attended parties at this house? You know, months before, years before, how often has Noah attended this party house? And out of all those times, where would Noah normally walk off to? Did he always walk east towards the highway, or was it different that one time when it came to Monday, September 4th, 2023? Because if on that one day he chose a different route, a different direction, it kind of changes the routine up. Oh, that's unfamiliar. Noah normally doesn't go that way. He doesn't normally do that. Maybe we should just see if he's okay. Yeah, interesting. And it's the thing, you know, say that Noah made a choice to walk off and go towards the highway. Maybe he wouldn't have done that if he had been given a lift back home. But because people denied him of that, not just all falling on Noah, is it? Noah makes the decision to drink, thus meaning it's Noah's fault that he can't get back home himself because he hasn't got his own vehicle either, or he hasn't brought it with him. But you could also say the other party goers, the odd ones that may have given one another or some a lift, now have made the decision to drink alcohol themselves and get pissed themselves, so now they can't even give Noah a lift back. So it kind of goes both ways, 50-50 to an extent. But still, I just feel that if Noah was to be walking down the highway, the only reason why he would be doing that is because he needed to leave the property and he really wanted to get back home. To put shoes on, even if it's mismatched, if Noah truly put those shoes on, indicates that Noah intended on covering more distance on foot. Not wearing shoes, covering a long distance could impact you. I know in terms of heat levels, it keeps you cool, but the friction of the ground, stepping on broken glass and all kinds of bits and bobs, it could hurt you. So you'd wear shoes for protection. I know in the Aidan Clune case, he took his shoes off at some points and then put them back on. Well, that's because that was more down to psychological issues, not thinking clearly and all that. From the looks of it, Noah Presgrove didn't have any psychological issues on that. I just want to know your thoughts in the comment section overall. I mean, Those that saw Noah witnessed him walking east towards the highway. Did any of them for a 1 second think, maybe that's not a good idea? If we knew more about this bloody house and building here, let's say there was another party happening this location, you could excuse and say, well, those that saw Noah wander off east may have assumed that Noah was simply attending this party house as well. But I really don't know much about this building or activity levels, which is very, very unfortunate. All in all, hopefully you found the video somewhat interesting. Be sure to hit the like button, thumbs up, and share the video for that awareness to be spread to keep the case alive. I'll just give you my final thoughts, conclusion, my opinion. Do I feel that it's Noah's own fault that he died? No. In terms of the whole alcohol consumption thing, as to who distributed it or what, at the end of the day, whether they had their own alcohol or there was an opportunity given to them to drink it, most, if not all, of the partygoers present made a decision to grab a bottle or a can, put it into the mouth, and consume that alcohol. The only exceptions would be if you had a younger individual of a slightly vulnerable age, not a fully grown adult, and nowhere near the age of drinking legally, and they were peer pressured, forced into drinking alcohol, then you could say it's not fully their fault. But I think most of the people that were present at the party wanted to have a good time, wanted to drink, and that's what came with partying. And then after that, things could have backfired, escalated, gone from there. In terms of Noah ending up on the highway based off a potential hit and run, was it Noah's decision and fault to walk along that highway? If on that theory, likely based that Noah had no other choice. If he was turned down by everyone or anyone he reached out to in regards to getting a lift back home, what other choice did Noah have but to walk it himself if he really needed to get back home? Just based off that theory, he had no choice. You can say he made the choice to take action in that way and it led to consequences, but literally Noah wasn't asking to be killed. I'm sure he wasn't asking or wanting that to truly happen, nor was he suicidal, unless people are going to try go down that route. Wouldn't that be typical? In terms of a murder situation, that form of outcome, like a beating, an assault, an ambush, if that happened, would Noah be deserving of it? Likely not. Would that be Noah's fault? It's getting onto the stupidity of almost as if like a person who is somewhat vulnerable or just neutral and taken advantage of, raped. You start blaming the person that got raped, it's their fault. So that's like how it's kind of going here with Noah Presgrove. It depends which way you look at it as for the cause of death. If it's a cause of death as in a hit and run, it's been interpreted as in it's Noah's fault that it happened, as roughly quoted by Sarah Long and maybe the odd other person along the way. If it was a murder situation, would people be saying, well, it's Noah's fault still? I wonder. It's getting a little bit dark, just like the lighting outside because it is nighttime now. But as I said, hopefully you found the video somewhat interesting. We'll see what happens next. If there's a link on with the recent discussions or themes, if it reaches a bit of a head, slows down, well then I can return back to the previous coverage. I can focus in on the text conversations with Caden Pressey in regards to at the party and whatnot to tie up dead ends there. We'll see what happens. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Goodbye and good night.